I'm Cash Walker, tight end from Grand Junction Central High School, class of 2023, and you're listening to the Playmakers Corner.
Hey y'all, what's good? It is Cody Stoffer with Playmakers Corner here, and we have another special guest on this series of class of 2023 interviews here, another top 5 guy. If you'd like to introduce yourself, your name, what position you play, and the school that you go to, that would be awesome.
My name is Cash Walker. I played tight end at Grand Junction Central High School.
And that makes Cash the first Grand Junction player that we've had, I think, on a top 5 list, but definitely on here for the show. So I just want to say thank you once again for taking some time out of your day. For the listeners here, just for context, this episode is being recorded on March 27th at 8 a.m. We got some early risers here between Cash and I figuring it out, and I appreciate your flexibility in joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, the pleasure's all ours. And, we like to just kind of get to know you as an athlete and get a little warm up here. And so I think the first question that we have for you is we, would like to know, what is your favorite sports experience or memory while playing? And, we have people that do answer with football questions. This could be like a rivalry game. This could be, a game like a revenge game from like a past year. This could be a little league game. This could be even something outside of football. We've had some people answer with basketball or baseball stuff from time to time as well. So just kind of mull through your memory here and think about, what is your favorite experience playing sports?
There's definitely a couple that come to mind, like right off the bat. Both of them are definitely from this senior season. There's this rivalry that we have here at Central with Palisade High School, which is a little bit down the road. And each time we play them, we play for something called the War Dog Trophy. And that's been a pretty big deal because last year, our junior year, was the first year that we actually won it in 14 years. So to put that into perspective, We were in kindergarten the last time that Central beat Palisade going into our junior year. So getting that trophy last year and getting that trophy this year was a really good feeling for our senior class, because that's something that we wanted really bad, to repeat it twice.
Yeah, no, and that's a legacy set of wins. 14 years is a long time to go without a dub in a rivalry. And I think that another thing for that is it just adds context for all of us here that, don't quite make it out to that western slope. And I was curious when I did y'all's schedule preview. I was like, Palisade, I wonder if that's just because of like the location, but to know that it is a rivalry game and that, it is a long time in the works to get these back-to-back wins is very gratifying. And then you followed up with a win against Grand Junction the very next week. And we'll talk more about the season later, but that's very exciting for y'all. 14 years. That's crazy.
Yep, it was crazy for sure.
Well, speaking of other times that you might have gone crazy, we assume that most people who play sports are sports fans. So, with that in mind, what is your favorite sports viewing experience? This could be a game that you watched growing up that was, local, like at the high school or something like that. Or this could be a game that you attended, like a live game of, any college or professional level, or a game that maybe you watched on TV that is cemented as one of your favorite sport viewing experiences. That thing where you think of, as a fan, where did you get to enjoy the game probably the most?
I could talk about games that I've watched on TV and stuff, but definitely to make it a little bit more personal, with my decision with committing to CMU, I got to go to pretty much all their home games. And one of the games that I definitely remember the most is when they played Fort Lewis. That really just showed me what the team's about, what the coaches are about. The final score I think was 76 to maybe 7. That kind of just opened my eyes a little bit about the program. Yeah, it was crazy. Brutal. Fun to watch.
Yeah, fun to watch since you were watching the team that was scoring over 70. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is awesome. And I can't wait to get a little bit more in depth with your recruitment and whatnot too. And we're very excited. And obviously from all of us here at the pod, congratulations on your commitment, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So and I mean that's got to be cool that it's still in that that kind of local setting. But like I said, we'll turn to that here in a little bit. But for now, I kind of want to pivot here to our episode here as far as the top 5 class of 2023 tight ends, and just kind of get your reaction to our evaluation of your game here, where I think we had you graded out at an average of like a 73.5 with high marks in hand/ball skills and solid marks in route tree / versatility, and then some emphasis on footwork, strength, and balance / body control. What were kind of your reactions to hearing some of those grades, whether they were fair or maybe, in your opinion, maybe needed a little bit of adjustment as far as our evaluation goes?
Overall, after listening to it, I thought it was pretty fair. Something that you guys might not have known is with this senior season, I probably only had 3 or 4 catches going into the first 5 games, which is pretty crazy. That's because we had a different offensive coordinator, and he actually ended up stepping down, I think, game 4 or game 5, the game that we went into Montrose, and I got that one-handed catch. That's really when the season turned around for me. Then I got 16 more catches after that was said and done. So if you think about it, I could have really doubled my numbers this season. Based on what the stats that I had and the film that I had, I thought your guys' rankings was very fair in terms of everything that you guys ranked me, though.
And this is that right there is exactly why we like to have the players on the show, because there's not like a Twitter. Well, there is Twitter for high school football, but it's not like an Adam Schefter level Grand Junction Central offensive coordinator steps down. It's not like sweeping all over the place, especially as people who cover 1 through 5A in football. So, that does not go unnoticed, that you bring that up. And that is a huge difference, like you said, getting halfway through the season and the offense is just constructed a little different, and seeing you be able to churn that up. Because, without the context, we're wondering, is there like injuries happening or what have you? But no, it's just a different offense that you do get to run, which is exciting to show, your versatility in that regard and to grow in that way. And so I appreciate you clarifying that and clearing that up as well. And I guess, before we dive a little bit more into your game, I actually might as well just talk about the Grand Junction Central season here. And that's great context there, but what were like some goals heading into the season that you think the team was able to accomplish? And then what do you think are some lessons for some of the players that get to pick up the torch for this next year?
I think the biggest thing with our senior class, we were senior heavy this year on the field. I think both sides of the ball, we probably had at least 7 or 8 seniors touching the grass, which was really special because we've been with each other for the last 4 years, and we've set a lot of goals with each other for sure. And the biggest thing, like the imprint that we left, I feel like was changing the culture here. That COVID year, we were in a situation, we went 0-6. Anybody could have beat us that year. Like, it just was not good. Going into our junior year, that's where we really took the leadership to the next level. Like, we took time out of our weeks to get together as a team and talk about goals and things that we need to improve on. And specific goals for this season, we wanted to sweep the Valley. We fell short by 1 game, losing to Fruta. We wanted to be over 500, and we wanted to make playoffs. Our record didn't show the 500, being 3-7, but looking at like strength of schedule and holding opponents to some of the scores that we did, that's what ultimately got us into the playoffs. So that's what we learned. And then in terms of learning things, there was just a lot of things that we just didn't do right in the game, and that's what lost us some games for sure.
Yeah, and even this sweeping the Valley, that's a great goal. And Fruita, that very first game that you had a chance, you did hold them to 14, and they were one of the higher seeds entering that tournament and whatnot. So I am looking at the schedule, and it is pretty intense. obviously Fruita, playoff team, Palisade, playoff team in 3A, but a playoff team nonetheless. One that pulled off a big upset, mind you. Durango, I think they were a Final Four team in 3A. And then Montrose, routinely one of the highest seeds in that 4A bracket. Loveland, obviously, they made it to the championship. So, yeah, no, I think that there's obviously a lot to learn. But, I mean, I think that the arc that you talk about and that growth that you were able to experience from 2020, I mean, 2020 was just a rough year, I think, for a ton of programs. I coached up in Greeley during that year, and we had I think we were 0-6 or something along those lines. We might have even been 0-4 because I think our season got cut short because we had a COVID outbreak on the roster and stuff. And so that was just a really tough time. But I'm glad to hear that that class of 2023, banded together there and hope made a shift so that everyone after you can pick up the torch and play for something bigger than themselves and play for that culture too.
Yeah, definitely.
And now we can kind of pivot back to you a little bit here. What are some things in your opinion separate you from other tight ends, whether that's in the state or in the country?
I'm gonna get personal about this. So going into sophomore year, I wasn't 6'4", I wasn't 225 pounds. I didn't even have a shot of playing college football at the time. I was just playing high school football. Going into my junior year, that's when I really grew into my body. And I kind of got the idea that, like, okay, I could actually do this. I could go to the next level. So that's when I really started to work hard fundamentally. IQ, just learning the game, watching film. I took that summer seriously in the weight room, just speed work, training, all that good stuff. And that's what separated me from that point on, going into that junior year. And then going into the senior year, I even kicked it up a notch a little bit more in terms of like putting some good weight on, still maintaining my speed, getting stronger, learning the game more, learning our offense, all that good stuff. And that's what separated me this year the most, I feel like, just my work ethic for sure.
Yeah, and that sounds like it kind of reflects that shift that y'all experienced as a program as a whole, honestly. Just like you said, as far as, this is what we have to do in order to be a successful program. And it sounds like you took that to a personal level there. And I think that, that's going to carry very, very well for you. And I mean, no time like the best time after yesterday to start something is today, right? So I think that was kind of, a huge part, or that's what sounds like it was a huge part as far as you kicking up into that next gear. And I mean, yeah, being adequately sized doesn't hurt for sure. I mean, you do have that, I mean, what is today that basically standard of a college tight end build? And so, I think that obviously, watching through your film, that's something that did, become apparent. And as far as, being able to use your size to your advantage and being able to play the ball in the way that you were able to, and use your hands and just position and everything like that, I think that was, huge for us as far as looking into, what you were as a prospect. And I mean, I think that your verticality / contested catch was, it was your second highest overall grade for us there. And being 6'4", 225 doesn't hurt, but I mean, you got to fill out that 6'4". And I just want to give you some props right now for doing that and for turning up when it mattered most.
Yeah, thank you.
So, and I mean, like you said here, and I appreciate your honesty and transparency with us, because I mean, I really think that helps the listeners, especially some of the younger guys that do like to listen to these interviews for advice, and kind of figuring things out is a big thing that we try and help with Colorado athletes and things like that. So, you said, heading into that year, it was fun playing high school football. I didn't really think about college football, but I mean, obviously that mentality changed. And I guess, like, what was the recruiting process and journey like for you as far as, figuring that out and kind of navigating that landscape that is so different from on the field stuff?
It was hard for sure. I didn't get a single look my junior year, even with the film that I had, just sending it out. With this whole recruiting process, I've probably sent thousands of emails Could be D2, could be D1. It was just long and hard and frustrating at times, but I'm glad I ended up where I did for sure. But with recruiting, I received my first offer going into senior year, actually at a team camp at Colorado Mesa University. So they're the first people who actually offered me. So that's pretty cool. Um, and then as far as the other offers came, they came around, I want to say November-ish. All the other RMAC schools started to get interested. That's where those offers started to roll in. And then a couple NAIA schools, but I wasn't really looking for something like that.
No, that's fair. And I mean, the recruitment comes at different times for all people. And I mean, one thing about y'all's class too, and I just mean the class of 2023 in general, is with that COVID year that, I mean, everyone loves to talk about so much, that extra year of eligibility made scholarships more, harder to give out as far as the programs go, harder to obtain as far as playing goes. And, I think that it's still a little backlogged even from that, and it will be for probably another 2 or 3 years, honestly, with people getting creative with red shirts and gray shirts and every other color under the rainbow, right? As far as orange, yellow, blue shirts or what have you, it seems like I learn a new one every day. So with the hand that you're dealt, just being able to get that attention, get that spotlight, I think speaks to your skill as a player, and to the way that you're able to turn up. And I mean, you have been able to get a lot of looks on what overall is very, I'd say like limited data. So I think that, but I mean, it was enough to catch our eye here at the pod and to rank you inside that top 5. And, obviously it was enough for Mesa. And I guess, what does it mean to play for Mesa, having been like a Grand Junction kid? And I mean, like you said, you got to see like, firsthand them dominate against other schools in the state. But I guess like growing up, what was it like, with Mesa there, and how big is that for the community of Grand Junction?
I think it's a great opportunity because, being a little kid, we always went to Mesa games with my dad and I. We talked about it all the time. Like, you're obviously going to play on this field like when you're in high school, but he's like, what if you play on this field when you're in college? And that never really was a realization until, like I said, like I started to take things seriously, and the recruiting process really opened up. And just playing in front of a hometown that, supports you, and the coaches too, they're the people that really made my decision for me, because they've welcomed me with full arms. The whole staff, really good people, really good coaches. I can tell that they care about me. And that was a big part of my decision for sure.
No, and that's so exciting that, to be able to play on that field and then be able to continue to play on that field for home games is just, that's such a crazy, I feel unique, very unique experience for Grand Junction players and whatnot. So I think that's awesome for you. And I'm glad to hear that it sounds like it's a great fit, as far as the coaches go. And I mean, when you were doing your search, what were like the priorities that you had from a school or a football program as you were kind of, weighing your options here?
It's kind of crazy, like how my mentality kind of shifted throughout the recruiting process. At first, I was kind of like, oh, it's D1 or bust. Like, I have to make it work with a D1 school. Like, I had like Montana State in mind, Boise State in mind. But as it kind of was winding down and I wasn't getting those looks, whether that was because of my film or whether because they didn't want me, whatever it was, God put me in a position to go to Colorado Mesa University. And the biggest thing I felt throughout all of this is, because I got some advice, it was go somewhere where somebody wants you. And I know that Colorado Mesa University wanted me. And that's just a really good feeling, like reflecting on everybody that was recruiting me. Like, they put the most effort into me for sure.
And I think that that's a good way to make a choice. And, I feel like that's a pretty common, kind of recruiting tracking thing, right? Because, I mean, look, when we grow up, what do we see on TV? We see D1, you know what I
Yep.
mean? and that's where we all want to go, obviously. But you grow up and like, all right, what can set me up here? What can I make out of this situation? How much can they help with school too? I mean, you talk tuition costs and stuff like that. Then it's like, well, who's got a good deal for me? Where can I save? And what opportunities will that afford? And so I think that you did a great job weighing your options. And we have quite a few PMC fam members out there at Mesa as well. So I'm very excited to see you interact with them from time to time, probably, and just grow into your role with this team and with those coaches, man. Huge congrats once again. I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you were talking directly to a younger player that's kind of going through this process, what advice would you give them for recruitment and how to best promote yourself?
I would say start now. Don't wait, because I know everybody says this, but it's so true. You could snap and your 4 years are over in high school football. And I kind of got a little late start to the whole recruiting process. I mean, junior year, that's when I started, but it really should have been earlier in terms of sending film and sending colleges care about everything. It's not just you being a football player. It's having the grades, it's having the accolades. They care about that too. So the advice that I would give is set yourself up the best you can, not only on the football field, but in the classroom too, because they look at everything. And the earlier you start, the better it's going to be for you in the long run, because if a school has 3 years to look at you instead of 1, that's probably going to better your chances of them offering you or wanting you in general.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, just looking at it, look, younger players, if you want an example on how to make a Twitter, go check out, at cash_walker81 on Twitter. I mean, look, it was so easy. And even as, people who try and promote high school players, stuff like this makes such a difference. I'm like, oh, he goes to Grand Junction Central High School. It is 4A, 3.5 GPA. This is a recruitable player here. Because sometimes if you don't know what the GPA is, or if it's not shown, that could be a little concerning. It's like, well, Cash may be 6'4", 225, but if he has a 2.1 GPA, that's a lot harder to recruit than a 3.5 GPA like the one that you have. So congrats on being a great student, first and foremost, and for having that GPA. And, I think I agree with everything you have to say as far as, and even if it sounds repetitive as far as, what other people say about recruiting, sometimes death by repetition here to the ears, especially younger players. I mean, I remember, being in high school and being a little thick-headed, like, I don't need to listen to what other people do or what they say. I got pads and I got a football. Like, they'll see, they'll hear. But no, you really got to reach out. Unless you're like just insanely, just promoted. And, if you're like a Derrick Henry coming out of high school, that's a little different. But even then, it doesn't hurt. Even if you're that level of player, to promote yourself, to go to things and, team camps at Mesa and stuff like that. I think that every little bit helps, and nothing's going to hurt you more than not doing anything. So I think that's fantastic advice here. And I guess, what are like some goals that you have for college ball as far as, heading into it, and maybe some things that you want to accomplish, or even if that's just enjoying the experience? I don't know.
I've talked this over with my dad a lot, and I kind of want to go into college football, not being the low man on the totem pole. I kind of want to go in and like set the standard, set the tone for the people that are above me right now, because ultimately I'm there to play football. And I want to compete for my position. Even if I am a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever it is, I'm going to compete for my position. And that's something that I really want to shoot for going into fall camp.
Heck yeah, man. And I mean, we're rooting for you here. And what better way to grow as a player and as a person than to push yourself, regardless of outcome. I love that, it sounds like that process is, integral to you as a player. And I mean, that's something that you'll be able to carry with you. I know that probably everyone around you says this, but, at some point, whether it's, when you're 25 or whether you're 45 or 47, however old Brady was, football eventually ends for you on the field. And I think that, having that mentality is going to serve you very, very well on, heading forward in everything that you do. So, I think that's awesome. And I guess, now that we're kind of getting towards the end of this interview, I'd like to just give you time to shout out anyone who's been important to your journey here. And I mean, feel free to take all the time that you can get. It takes a village is kind of my personal philosophy as far as somebody growing and developing and becoming who they are. So, whether this is coaches, friends, family, or other players or anything like that, communities, feel free to just take your time and shout them out and thank them for your academic or athletic process here.
Yeah, like you said, it really is a village, because I don't know if I can sit here and name everybody off, but I'll kind of go like the people that come to mind most and like that are just in my heart right now, and I'll just talk about it. First and foremost, I just want to thank God for the opportunity that he's given me to play college football and all the things that come with it. So I'm very grateful for that. I want to shout out my mom and dad because of all the sacrifices that they've made for me. The early mornings, the late nights, the time that the amount of work that they've had to do to pay for all my camps that I've been to, all the traveling, all that, all my family members. I want to thank my coaches too, because they set me up for success. Even though it was hard sometimes and a little bit bumpy, we made it through, and it was humbling to be able to go and play to the next level. So I thank them for that. And I also want to thank my teammates because they were the people that pushed me through it all too.
And then the advice I always give to people who do this shout out, like you said, because it's impossible to remember everyone, is you just go, and anyone else, you know who you are, just kind of throw that blanket over the entirety. And, I guess real quick before we do kind of wrap this up, you said teammates that helped push you. Who are some guys that we should maybe keep our eyes out for next year who might break out in that fall 2024 season for GJC here?
The guys that I think of automatically in that junior class, it'll be seniors next year. Cam Redding, he's a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. He played safety for us. He just came downhill and hit people. He probably had about, I want to say, 10 tackles a game just at that safety spot coming downhill and hitting some kids. So he's one to look out for sure. I'd also say Jamarcus Cameron. He's more of a receiver corner kind of guy. With the seniors that are graduating, I think they're going to try to give him the rock as much as they can, as a lot, trying to throw him the ball. And just the offensive line in general, because we had some younger guys on that front this year, offensively and defensively. So just watch out for them, because I think they could develop and mold into some good offensive and defensive linemen.
Awesome. And I always appreciate this, especially when I'm interviewing people from schools that I'm in charge of doing the season previews for. So now I'm like, yeah, all right, I at least have a couple of names to look up to start. Otherwise, relying on max preps can be a little dicey, especially if, especially if there's somebody that's been in the works and maybe didn't have a ton of stats and then burst onto the scene, such as yourself. I probably missed you during the season preview, to be completely honest. So thanks for playing big and showing up, so that that made our jobs a little bit easier here. But, I just want to say once again, Cash, thank you so much for taking time and joining us here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And everyone who is listening, once again, that was Cash Walker, the number 5 tight end in the class of 2023, according to our Colorado State senior rankings here, who put on a good show and helped this, GJC team find success and whatnot. So, huge congrats to him and his commitment. And, like I said earlier in the interview, be sure to go find him on Twitter, Cash_Walker81. And, keep tabs on his career, because I think that he's going to be making some seriously big plays for that Mesa squad. But, on top of following him, once you're on Twitter, go ahead and find us at Playmaker Corner on Twitter, or Playmakers Corner on Instagram, all just one word. Playmakers Corner spelled out 2 words on Facebook. Those are all great places to find us. if TikTok is not banned by the time this episode comes out, please be sure to find us on TikTok and enjoy that content. Playmakers Corner, all one word, where, we'll put little clips of these interviews and some highlights up and stuff like that. And, just have fun with it. So, you can find us on all those places. We'll also be on YouTube, Playmakers Corner, where you can, listen to episodes on there. And you can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And, when you do that, make sure that you hit that little flag or follow or like button so you get notified whenever we have new episodes come out. Or if you follow us on social media, you'll be able to see all those. But, as for this episode, I've been your host, Cody Stoffer, and we'll catch you on the flip. Boom.